hello, and welcome to Taking Tea in Style, Tea Talk, Real Talk, where we're going to have conversations over tea. We'll be talking about some hot topics and some wonderful issues that we're all caring about. So today we have two wonderful guests, a very good friend of mine, Deborah Bailey, who is a coach and author. And we also have Skip Bailey, and no, they're not husband and wife. It just so happens that they have the same last name. Skip Bailey, who is also a certified coach,
Yes.
author, and a musician. So we have some real talented people in the house today. So, Deborah, just tell us, how your journey started to become a writer and all the different books that you've written. Let us know about those.
Well, I've always been a writer since I was a kid, and I just kept doing it. And I went into different writing jobs, and then I also went into IT because I was just changing different things and trying different things. And eventually I came back to my writing because that was my true love. So I'll show one of my books. It's Think Like an Entrepreneur. And I wrote that after my journey from going into corporate and deciding I really want something different. So that was really the first book I wrote. And then I brought the other two, if I don't mind showing. This is my short story collection, 7 stories, Electric Dreams.
Nice.
And I really, really am proud of this, and also my first novel. This is Half Her Legacy. Paranormal. No vampires or werewolves, but it's a lot of fun. So, I just came through a lot and just very happy now to be doing what I love.
Right. Well, I know that, from working in IT field, we've worked together so many years ago at AT&T, and so this is different for us, this whole entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah.
So I just thought it would be just a wonderful thing to bring you in because I know that it's totally different backgrounds that we've come from where we are today. So I just wanted to bring you in so people can see the wonderful stories that you've written, and it's so diverse. So which one do you prefer? Do you like nonfiction, fiction better?
My love really is fiction,
Okay.
but I enjoy the fact that these days, particularly with technology, we can just do whatever we really enjoy doing. If you love fiction, nonfiction, you want to write poetry, you can put it on the internet, you can connect with people around the world. You're no longer really restricted to one thing, so it's just, you can go where your heart takes you.
Right.
Wow.
Now, I've read the Think Like an Entrepreneur, and it's a really good book, especially since I'm an entrepreneur. It just focuses on some serious important things that we need to know as entrepreneurs, because it's very hard to be an entrepreneur, and a lot of people don't really realize that. So, Skip, tell us your journey.
Actually, well, my journey, how mine started with the book, in which my book is entitled You Are Outstanding and Unstoppable.
Yes.
Yeah, the title right here, You Are Outstanding and Unstoppable.
Yes.
And actually, I really didn't have any plans on writing a book, actually.
Okay.
Actually, the information, the topics that I have in my book, most of them are from my life journey,
Right.
but also from being involved with the network marketing business, and because there's a lot of personal development.
Right.
So all the years I've been involved with them, it's pretty much, I said one night, I just sat one night and I guess my higher spirit, my power just said, it's time.
Yes.
And that's basically how it happened.
Right, okay. Nice. Now, did any family members or friends have any input in this?
No, actually, no one actually really knew that I was doing it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Actually, how it happened, pretty much 2 years ago, last week actually, sitting home on a Sunday night, and normally I sit on a Sunday and relax and listen to some light jazz and stuff, and just picked up the pencil, and it was too much to do with the pencil, so I got to the laptop.
Okay.
And just started typing it, and family members had no idea.
Wow.
And when I did mention it to the family members, and unfortunately, some family members, because they only see you as brother and sister.
Right, right.
And that's just reality.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't see you as writer, author, whatever. And I showed them the book, they were like, it's nice. Okay.
No one was like excited, like, wow.
Here he goes, she's fantasizing again. Yeah. And actually, when I actually finished the manuscript, and matter of fact, last Christmas dinner, because there's a couple of topics. I had my mother in there, reference to a success story, and my son. I said, part of their Christmas gift, along with the material stuff I handed them, I said, read this. And both my mother and my son, they read it. They were like, oh, that's nice.
And you think
Oh,
mom
my
was so
God.
wow,
Yeah.
that's exciting,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
But you didn't get that.
But honestly, today, my mother carries the book everywhere she goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's
Yeah.
Well, I also read this. It's funny, I met Skip at an event in Trenton, a good friend of mine, and he was playing. He was with the band, so that's where I first met him. And I was like, wow, okay, I think I need him for some of my events. But then he gave me this wonderful book, and I was reading it, and it's something that's reinforcing to love yourself, because a lot of people don't really love themselves.
Absolutely.
And so it's telling you have to love yourself, and you can only be you. No one else can be you. You know, a lot of people don't realize the skills and the gifts that they have. So the book tells you about all those things, that God gives us gifts and we have to utilize them. But what's unfortunate, a lot of us don't know that we have gifts. Other people can see the gifts in you.
Yeah.
So this is a great book for people to pick up. You know, it's really a wonderful book.
Thank you.
So any more books coming?
Well, actually, I have a couple of more in mind, but I'm not really focused on doing another book right now. Of
Okay.
course, probably in April, we're going to turn the book transcribe it into CDs.
Oh, nice.
Because, you know, even though we read, but then you have those people who make excuses that, well, I don't have time to read.
Like me.
So, you know what? Here, CD, download in your iPod, bam.
right.
Right.
Right there.
Okay.
I have a couple of them. Actually, when I did this book, people were asking me, is it an autobiography of myself? I said no, because that'll come down
Right,
years
later
from
on.
now. Because actually, people know me in the tri-state area, but
Right.
my thing is someone in Arizona, Alabama don't know me,
Right,
so why do
right,
an autobiography?
right.
Once I'm well known, then we'll go back.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
It makes a lot of sense. Good. So, Miss Deborah, so tell me your journey though in terms of how hard is it to really write a book or put it together? Because I know for me, I'm wordy and I really don't know how to make things sound smoothly. I have to let someone else read it. So, you know, tell us your journey on that.
Well, that's, you know, really normal to have stops and starts when you write, or maybe some people really just have their ideas they jot down, and other people really love to just sit there and write or type or whatever. But I took a lot of it from Think Like an Entrepreneur, from newsletters I'd been sending out, coaching newsletters, and I had different posts. And I started assembling those, so that took about a year.
Okay.
And then I wrote the other things as I went along once I decided I was going to
Right,
write
okay.
a book. But you really have to set deadlines for yourself.
Right.
Because otherwise it's never going to happen. And the best way to do that is to let everyone know it's coming.
That's true.
Because then people start asking.
Right, right.
And they want to know
It
when
makes
is
you
it.
accountable.
Yeah, and then you're like, uh-oh, I better do it because I put it out here and I said it's coming on this
Right.
date. So that's, you know, if you're self-publishing, if you're
Right.
going to publish, you know, usually the publisher is going to set that date
Right,
for
okay.
you and when you're supposed to be done with it.
Okay.
But it always helps to have some accountability, as you
Right.
said, and bring in some other folks who will support you.
Right.
Right.
And you know, as you were saying, a lot of times people don't look at you as an author or look at you
Right.
as a business person. They look at you as who they knew when they grew up, or
Right.
you know, so they don't see that same person, and sometimes they're not as excited as you think they should be.
Right. Now, how was your family when you did your first book?
Of course, my mom was very supportive, and a couple other relatives, but then a couple others were kind of ho-hum about it,
Yeah.
and still are ho-hum even
Right.
after these two.
Okay.
And you just realize, okay, that's the way it's going to be. I'm fine. You know, I know the people who are, you know, my cheerleaders, because
Right.
to me, it's like if someone does something, and I want to support them, then I'm going to, you know, say, yeah, that's a great job, or how can I help you? To me, that's just a simple thing to do, but everybody doesn't have that mindset,
Right.
so you just
Right.
kind of try not to judge.
Right.
But sometimes you want to.
Right, and it's hard. We're all human beings, so
Yeah,
it's difficult.
you're excited. You want them
Right.
to be too,
Right.
and
But of
sometimes
course,
they're not.
There's haters as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, it goes
That's the
both
reality,
ways.
Reality.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it
So I'm
goes
sure
both
people don't
ways.
want to see you successful and to succeed, but you know,
Yeah.
you have to just forget about those folks and keep moving.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's the thing also with entrepreneurship, that when you put yourself out there, you really, can be very scary.
it is.
You know, and you have to kind of reinforce yourself sometimes, because you don't always get the love.
Right, exactly. Well, thank God for both of these wonderful books that are reinforcements on both levels, you know, because it is very hard and people really don't know, unless you're an entrepreneur, you have no clue
Right.
what we go through.
Absolutely.
And so we do need people to be there for us and support us, you know, and say, you go girl or you go guy,
Yeah,
you know. We
does
need
matter.
that. We need that. Okay. So any new books coming soon, Deborah?
I'm working on the second novel, sequel, and
Oh,
then
wow.
I had an idea for another book when I was driving here. So
Oh, wow. Now, how often do those things come to you?
All the
these
time.
ideas? Okay.
all the time, because your mind's always working. I know
Right.
that you know as well. Your mind's always going, and the thing is capturing it.
Right.
Because a lot of times we think of things and we let it go and we
Right.
forget, or even a business idea, and then someone else runs with it.
Right,
and we're
that's
like,
true.
I thought of that.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
they say, you slow, you blow. So you got to really
Yeah.
move it when you think of it. Because, I mean, a lot of us, my father, he's always thinking, oh, I have to invent this, I have to invent that. And then the years later, he's like, I was like, you see, Dad?
Imagine.
So you have to really just do it when you're going to do it. According to his book,
That
he
is
says,
so
just
true.
do it,
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
Yeah, that's so true.
Just go with it. So,
As a matter of fact, you're mentioning that in reference to having different ideas of doing things. There's a stage play that I wrote a few years ago, and with the stage play also,
Okay.
didn't have no intentions on writing a
Wow.
stage play. Actually, I never did like going there. I don't like going to stage plays.
wow.
But that's the play is a pretty much telling my story, my life.
Okay.
And we started production last year, and I decided to stop. I stopped production because
Wow.
of family issues, but then again, I wasn't really satisfied with the cast
Okay.
also. But then I mentioned to a few friends that I value their opinion
Okay.
in reference to, putting on hold. They says, you know what you just said,
Right.
you have to do it.
Right.
That's your story.
Right.
Because if you're not, I've heard Les Brown and other people mention that one of the richest places in the world is a graveyard. So
Right.
don't take it to your grave with you.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
There was someone on Queen Latifah's show, I forget the lady's name, but she said there's so many people that have dreams that take it to the grave.
Absolutely.
And it's a shame that there's so many dreamers out there, and it's only a few people that will really strive to do their dream before they die.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're here. We're dreamers and we're doing it,
Yeah.
and we're going to continue to do it and support each other because that's what we need, support and
Yes.
love, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing that you mentioned earlier in reference to support, you have your mother supports you, and some of your family, a few, but then there are the other ones that aren't. But being in the industry that I'm involved with in network marketing, that's one of the things they encourage you. If you don't have the support there, here, go and find the support that you
Right,
need.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Go
why
and find it.
networking is so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
And if you network with people that are doing what you're doing and doing what you love, that's where you're going to get the support. And that's for me. And it's so funny when you're an entrepreneur. It's unfortunate that sometimes you lose friends
Yes.
that you were with for a long time. I mean, right now, I would say I have a few friends from a long time ago, but I think most of my friends now are entrepreneurs.
Right.
Because you're always with them, you're always thinking, how can we be better? How can we be, successful? So it's a little unfortunate, but it's, that's where you get your support.
It happens. And that's reality
Right.
also. You mentioned the word reality.
Right, you
That's
grow
reality
apart.
also. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a couple of weeks ago. I was doing something at the laptop, and I was sitting there, and I had my book cover on the screensaver, and sitting there looking at it, thinking about obviously the next book, but
Right.
not really preparing for it. But I was
Right.
thinking about other things. My fiance is like, "Who sits and stares at a screen?" I say, "Poor sweetheart, I'm far beyond this
Right,
screen."
right, I know. The screen is there, but my mind are other places, right?
Yeah. So once again, some people
Yeah.
just don't understand.
Right. Yeah. No. They have to be in our shoes and walk in it because we never sleep. We're always dreaming. When we're sleeping, we're dreaming. When we're awake, we're dreaming. No matter what it is, we are dreaming. And that's what keeps us alive and keeps us going.
Exactly.
So that's awesome.
You know.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your, your musician life.
Okay, musician life. Actually, we were speaking earlier. I'm from Virginia, a
Okay.
little small town in Virginia called Cape Charles. It's just before the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. And actually, I moved to New Jersey when I was 10.
Okay.
So I'm not telling you my age.
Okay.
I've been here like 25 years. All right. So, but you've seen like the movies, the little juke joints, like
Yes.
the Color Purple and places like that. But the juke joint that I used to go to, that my mother used to take us to on Sundays, wasn't that bad.
Right,
It
okay.
wasn't- but it was like modern like juke joint. But that was our entertainment for the weekend. So the musicians used to come there and play, and she used to take us down there on a Sunday. They weren't drinking, but something for the kids to do. But I've always been interested in drums.
Okay.
But I'm a bass guitar player.
Right.
So what happened, fast forward, moved to New Jersey, blah, 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 blah. My friends, there was a guitar player and a drummer, and so I wanted to play, so we did not need another guitar player. We needed
Right.
a bass player.
Okay.
So that's how I started playing
Okay,
bass.
nice.
I mean, I've been playing bass guitar probably 35, 40 years.
Wow.
I used to play for Millie Jackson. I've done shows with B.B. King, The
Okay, nice.
Temptations.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So all of that led me to, they said your journey.
Right.
All of that led me to the book,
Okay.
the stage play,
Right.
the businesses,
Right.
To the spot right here, sitting here talking to you young ladies right now also.
Right, because you're also a certified coach.
Yes, also.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We can't just do one thing at this point, because it's a hard thing to do, being an entrepreneur. So we have to do a couple different things to, survive. Basically, that's the bottom line.
And getting back to that again, when we tell people that, I'm doing this, I do that, my God, you're doing all those things. You're doing too much. You need to slow down. No, I don't.
Right.
Right. You got to
No,
keep
I
it
don't.
moving.
Yeah. And see, once again, they don't understand.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I used to hear my grandmother tell me all the time, you need to slow down, you need to slow down.
Yeah.
No.
No, you can't.
No, I don't.
You can't.
Slow down and watch TV, sit down and watch TV. No.
No, Granny. Sorry.
And actually, I do not really watch TV.
Right.
Today's, whatever, things like 4 or 5 o'clock now. I haven't seen TV today yet. I haven't watched TV yesterday.
Right. I didn't see TV today either.
No,
She's doing other things.
I'm the TV. We're
Right.
the TV.
Right. Exactly. Actually, I was just running from an event before I got here,
Wow.
so we're always running.
And it's good to also continue networking with each other,
Right.
no matter what industry it is, because you can always learn something from someone.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
Plus, if I can't help you, someone else can.
You may know someone. who-
exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
vice
Network-
versa.
Right, networking extremely important. Yeah.
And learning, continuing to learn and adapt.
Right.
So a lot of people don't really feel comfortable doing
Right.
that, and when you're in a corporate environment, so I know we were together in that. It's a lot of people who just learn what they learn and they want to stay right there. They don't ever want
Right.
to learn anything new. They
Right.
don't even want to move. They get mad if it's time to retire, because a cousin of mine was like that. They looked like they had to pry her out.
Wow.
Of the place, because your whole life is arranged
Right.
around this.
Right.
And now what do you do? And they're not even in their 60s.
Right.
You have all this rest of your life, but you never thought about what I was going to do after I left this job.
Right.
And I think for a lot of entrepreneurial people, you're always thinking of different things, and you don't want to
Exactly.
be hemmed in, and you
Right.
don't want to sit in that cubicle,
Right.
and you're willing to take those risks
Right.
to step out there that sometimes other people just aren't. They
Right.
can't understand
Right.
how you could do that.
Right. And change. A lot of people don't like change.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big.
They want the same consistent thing all the time. And I know for me, I'm a very creative person. I've always been. And I get bored easily. So, being creative where I can do events and go and meet people. And then, you can also control your own destiny. As an entrepreneur, yes, even though it might be difficult,
Right.
but you control your own destiny. And that I love. I can go and volunteer when I want to go and volunteer. I can go to a networking event. I can do whatever it is I want to do when I want to do it. So people don't really understand it. They think, oh, well, you can always do this and do that when you want to. Well, not always. We have to
Right.
go and network and do things too. They don't understand. If we don't go to work, we don't get paid. So, unlike some people go to work, they don't even work, but they get a paycheck. That's reality as well. So,
Yeah, that's true.
Wow. And for us, you're a life coach also, correct, Deborah? What I've learned also in reference to being in that industry also, I'm not, the last month or so I haven't really been active because I've been focusing on another business and doing other things. But one of the things that's in my book, in reference to the title, Outstanding, Unstoppable, because one of the seminars that I've done, I give an analogy that good isn't good enough anymore.
right.
It isn't. In this
Exactly.
time and age, good is not, I mentioned that in the seminars that you at a sporting event or whatever, you look at little kids play, who's out on the field or the baseball field playing at all times? Outstanding Tommy.
Right.
Who's sitting on the bench? Average Joey.
Right.
For real, it's
Right,
a fact.
right.
You have to put a little average Joey in every now and then.
Right, exactly.
But the outstanding ones, when it comes time to the 2-minute warning and you have to win,
Right.
who's in? The outstanding ones.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And we have to get ourselves in the mindset of we are outstanding.
Right.
I actually have T-shirts that says I am outstanding
Right.
and unstoppable. And a few cousins of mine, they were during the summer down at the beach, whatever,
Right.
wearing my T-shirts, and people were stopping them,
Right.
asking them, because the average person, like you said,
Right.
they don't believe far as you mentioned, loving themselves.
Right.
A lot of people say, well, I love myself, but really deep down, do you really love yourself?
And it
Not
shows.
really.
Some people might say it,
Yeah.
but you have to live it. You
Yeah.
got to think it. You got to be it. You know, and I love that saying that I'm outstanding. The more you say it is the more you will be it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, people, if you don't put it down, you have to put it down in pencil. You have to write it down on the paper. And if you don't, you know, just like goals. You can't have your goals up here. You have to have your goals on paper
Yeah.
and see it every day, because now you're going to be forced to do it.
You're reinforcing it. Yeah, definitely.
So with your coaching, I'm turning to the interviewer now.
No, that's fine. This is just conversation over tea.
As far as with your coaching, as far as do you run into that? As far as with people really, as far as I know we're helped to build their self-esteem or to help them to uncover their possibilities or whatever, their goodness. Do you find that a lot also, or do you find it difficult, you know, trying to pull it out of someone like, it's in there, somewhere.
I know, it's hard.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've found that because when I started, I wanted to do coaching for career people who were in careers. But then what I found is a lot of people in the career world didn't really know about coaching. They weren't comfortable with it. They didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And you feel like, oh, it's my mission. But people are kind of like, well, you know, and they're like, or they make excuses, or I can't call because something came out, you know, and then they start just to drop out. So I realized it was more the entrepreneurial people who were more open
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
and weren't as resistant, you know. So that kind of left me going, wow, I have to reconsider who do I want to work with?
Right.
Because you think you're helping, but you can't make someone want to come to terms with themselves.
Right.
And then you realize, okay, maybe I have to work with the people who really want what I'm offering, not trying to think I'm going to save you and see the light.
Save you.
Yeah, you know, you feel like,
I know.
okay, I see the light. Why don't you see it?
Right, I
And
know.
you're like, no,
Yeah.
leave me alone.
But I think, like you said, because entrepreneurs, you know, it's so difficult for us. So we need that reinforcement. We need someone to be, you know, calling us and saying, well, did you get to do that? Like you said you were going to do it. We need someone to stay on top of us. So I think that's why we're more open to it. You know, we want to be the best that we can be. So we need someone to coach us, to help us to do that. So I think that's the mindset.
Yeah, that's true. It is much different.
Yes.
It is much different. And a lot of people also talking about authenticity these days and really feeling comfortable being who you are, you know. And I think when I started, you know, I got the suit and all that, 'cause I figured that's what the thing was. But I'm saying that's not really who I am at this point.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm going through my own thing of repositioning myself, because then you've got to have branding and all these things now that are so important. But just to say, this is who I am, this is how I'm different from all these other people who are doing something similar. But I think with being entrepreneurial, you go through that journey.
Right.
Where you are finding yourself and
You have to.
yeah.
Right. And you change. Because I have a friend that started out doing cards, and now they're doing coaching. And, you know, that's really what they've been doing their whole life.
Absolutely.
Is doing that. Working with people their whole life. So, you know, as an entrepreneur, you change. And some people, even entrepreneurs, sometimes don't want to change. Like if their product is not selling or their service is not selling, they're not going to give it up. I mean, good and bad, you know, you want to stay focused and continue the journey, but sometimes it might not be the right thing at the right time. You know, those things that we struggle with as well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, how your struggle is doing that in the coaching.
Well, I really had to change who I was talking to,
Right.
who I wanted to talk to,
Right.
and kind of finding different things and saying, well, is this better? Does that work? You know,
Right.
and sometimes you start chasing the dollar. Well, everybody's doing this, everybody's doing that.
Right.
And that's not the right thing either. You know, it's like that with writing. Everybody's writing about werewolves because that's the thing, or
Right.
vampires, that's the thing.
Right.
But everybody's not chasing. If you're
Right.
chasing the trend, it's already done.
Right. Exactly.
You want to already be somewhere where you're tapping into something you know is happening,
Right.
and then you're there,
Right.
and you can define your space.
Right.
This is everybody, and everybody hears about this. Oh, yeah, she does that.
Right.
Not she's one of 10,000 other people who do
Right.
it. And like you said about standing out and excellence, we can't chase people
Yeah.
and
I
stand
think
out.
the bottom line is they will chase you.
Absolutely. That's it.
That's what you
That's
want.
really what you
Yeah.
want.
Right.
People chasing you. And that's going to say a lot about you
Yeah.
at that point. Because I know starting out as entrepreneurs, we are always chasing people.
Yeah.
You know, but at some point, you know, you have to have that brand out there with your service and products.
Yeah.
And now people are saying, wow, that person is really good. Let's go after her. You know, that's what I'm striving for. So,
I noticed with me, as far as the target audience that I'm focusing on, as far as with my coaching, like I said, within the last few months, I really haven't been active because I have to switch gears, switch directions.
right.
And my direction now is mainly, it's a lot focused on network marketing because that's their main thing. It's, of course, they make really, really good, lots of money.
Okay, yes.
But it's personal development also.
Right.
Because it's a fact that, I tell people all the time, it's the fact that you see people who won the lottery, millions of dollars, and 2 years later they're broke.
They
Why?
broke.
Because they didn't change upstairs, they didn't
Right.
change their mindset.
Right.
Yeah. And dealing with people in general, the average person that are going through things and they don't really know why they're going through things, and I've brought this to light with a lot of people that there are so many adults that are walking around today that you probably work with them, you probably
Right.
speak to them every day, that are still going through childhood stuff that they
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
that probably hurt, or that their big cousin used to pick on them all the time,
Right.
and all the time just for no reason, and it really bothered them,
Right. And they never let it go.
and they never let it go. Little stuff like that, you'd be
Right.
surprised.
I know. That can make or break you being successful.
Yeah, I told you you couldn't be an entrepreneur. How's your book?
Right.
You sell a million copies?
Yeah.
Right, I know.
I just
I
wrote
know.
it yesterday. But that's what people do to you.
Right.
You
You're
have to be
right.
strong. You have to
You
have
do.
that
You
strong
do, 'cause-
mindset.
Yeah, because you're going to have those people that say, get a real job. I'm like, this is a real job, you know? And it's a little hurtful, especially
Yeah.
people that's supposed to love you and people that are your friends. When they say that, they don't understand that it really hurts people. But you have to just smile and say, you know what? I know what I want, and this is what I'm going to do, whether you have my backing or not. And then, you know, lovely people like you that you meet from networking, y'all have my back. You know,
That's
so
right.
we all
That's
have
right.
each other's back, and that's what
Absolutely.
makes us keep moving.
Absolutely.
So,
And one last thing I want to add, I interviewed a friend of mine, he's a singer, and we were talking one day in reference to, you know, the things that we hold inside ourselves, and they say that people see us on the outside, but they don't see at night laying in the bed looking at the ceiling crying. They don't see that. As a man, I'm admitting, I've done that, because it's tough at times.
right, of course it is.
Yeah, even though you're tough guys, they're your entrepreneurs, pretty sure a lot of them cry. So I'm saying that a lot of them do cry.
Right, that's
But they won't tell you that. They're tough outside the public with
Right,
but
right.
hey, they've struggled.
Yeah.
You are a human being.
Yeah.
So it's going to
Yeah.
happen. So,
Yeah.
so, you know, tell us, you know, where to find your book, your website.
Okay, my website is www.skipbailey.com. You can pick up a copy of my book on Amazon.com, also Barnes & Noble, also my website, skipbailey.com. My email is skipbailey.com.
Okay.
And we'll be doing the local seminars also coming up soon.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And Deb?
Right. My website is www.brightstreetbooks.com, and then you find all of my books listed there, and also on Amazon.com under my full name, Deborah A. Bailey.
Okay.
And also dbaileycoach.com. You can find out more about some other things I'm doing as well.
Okay, wonderful. Well, guys, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on to our first show, TeaTalk Real Talk.
Thank you.
So until next time, check us out next month for Taking Tea in Styles, TeaTalk Real Talk. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.